So with Dragon Valley being on CTE for well over a week, there's been a lot of suggestions by the player base on what to improve, what to take out or add in. And also a lot of the players have suggested the docking area of the US spawn can potentially be a Noshahr Canals like TDM staging area. I'll talk more about that later in the video, but for me, honestly, I don't really care if Dice LA bring in Noshahr Canals or not. I mean, there's still plenty of BF4 servers running at 24/7, but I can understand some people on consoles may have sold their last gen console for next gen and can't play BF4 seeing as it only released on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. That's a completely valid point that I can understand, but regardless, I want to remind people, they did mention in the patch notes that they will not be bringing back any maps from Bad Company 2 and BF3. Also, another point a lot of people are wondering is if Dragon Valley will be the only classic map re-image for BF4. A lot of you guys have questioned me about this on Twitter and I've been basically giving it the same answer. I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't have any kind of special inside knowledge of any kind, and I haven't read any reply from David or any DICE member saying if Dragon Valley is the only one or we might see more in the future. But I do know a lot of you guys, well myself included, want additional popular maps from BF2 and 1942, like for example Road to Jalalabad and Omaha Beach, but currently, as it stands, it could go either way. Dragon Valley could be the only one, or we may see more at a later date. Also, just a side note, I think Omaha Beach could be an amazing rush map. The first stage could be one team storming the beach, offloading from various water vehicles. Maybe DICE could even introduce a new type of water transport vehicle that can carry a tank across water. I don't know if there's any kind of military vehicles in real life that's capable of doing that, but I do think if they tweaked Omaha Beach to match BF4 and obviously made it balanced for each team, it could work really damn well. And that kind of creativity making maps and game modes feel more special is something I really want to see in the next major Battlefield game. Instead of the developers wasting time on features like Commander Mode for tablets and Levolution that only really sounds good on paper and don't really make the gameplay experience from the player's perspective any better. But anyway, going back to Dragon Valley, there's a few points I want to talk about. If you watched my last video, I talked about how Capture Point E had very little cover once all the buildings were destroyed. And according to the last CTE patch, DICE added more cover around the E flag, which I was really happy to read, but when I checked it out in game and compared it to how it was before, I couldn't really see any difference. As you can see here, this is before the patch and this is after the patch. I know it's hard to tell seeing as the buildings haven't been destroyed, but I can't really see any obvious improvements here when it comes to cover, so I'm not too sure what's going on. If I missed something, please by all means let me know. Also, a lot of people suggested that the loading screen music should be the same as what it was in BF2, which I completely agree with. I didn't even think of this the first time I played Dragon Valley. If they want to keep that classic feel from BF2, bringing over as much as possible from that game is definitely the way to go. One thing DICE did change is they flipped the map so it's orientated the same way as it was in BF2, which if you guys watched my last video, I mentioned how I had to manually flip it myself for that video. So what about other game modes for Dragon Valley? Well, from what I can tell, DICE are planning to make the map accessible to all game modes and even possibly having multiple sections of the map dedicated to the exact same game mode. For example, TDM might have multiple areas of Dragon Valley where we can play on, which would be really interesting to see in the rotation. But with so many people asking for Noshahr Canals and seeing as DICE did say they won't be bringing over BF3 maps, is there a kind of middle ground that we can cater to this? I think there might be, but DICE might need to do some tweaking. The US spawn at the docks here on the left side could be a Noshahr Canals like staging area for TDM. As we can see, we have very similar structures like the crane and shipping containers, but the issue is the containers and general layout of the TDM area of Noshahr Canals was optimized and built for TDM. Unlike the US spawn here, it's just simply a spawn location. So what I'm suggesting is for those people that really badly want Noshahr Canals in BF4, and trust me, there's a lot of people, maybe DICE could rearrange this area a bit, not to the point it completely changes the look, but maybe they can add more shipping containers around various places, orientating them in such a way that it resembles a formation like in Noshahr Canals. Maybe even adding some lower levels around the docking area so it's not just a flat map with a whole bunch of containers filling up the free space. And honestly, I really do think this is the closest you'll get to Noshahr Canals in BF4, and for those people that really badly want this map, do you think this idea will work? If you do, then I suggest if you have a PC, download CTE and spend some time at the US spawn. If you can come up with some brilliant way to turn this area into a Noshahr Canals like TDM section, then leave your feedback on the CTE Reddit page. You never know, DICE might actually consider it. Also, moving away from Dragon Valley, I just want to talk about the flashbang tweaks on CTE. Yes, they did get completely changed in the spring patch, and like I'm sure you've experienced in game, the changes weren't that great. One of the worst tweaks is that you cannot look away to avoid the 7-second blinding effect. Luckily in CTE this has been changed, so you can actually avoid the flash if you look away. Anyway guys, that's it for today's video. Let me know if you have any ideas on how to turn the US spawn area into something that resembles Noshahr Canals while still keeping the authentic Dragon Valley look. Like I said before, leave your feedback on the CTE Reddit page, or you can just leave a comment down below. Also, I just want to mention I've been extremely busy at work lately. There's been a few projects that I needed to complete, but I have been working on quite a few videos. Actually, I'm working on a Fallout 4 video going over some of the major combat changes from the previous games. So if you like the Fallout franchise, then make sure to look out for that. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.